Hello, 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 and welcome to CTX Scavenger. My name is James. I am CTX Scavenger. My wife Jessica may be joining me. She's grabbing a bite to eat real quick. And so, hope you're having a fantastic day. How do we buy storage units is the number one question that a lot of people have been asking me. So, I thought I would talk about how we do our units, and we're going to actually pull up and look at some units that we're actually looking at right now, and kind of walk through how we bid. I hope Jessica comes in because she and I look at profiling units differently. She see things I don't see. I see things she doesn't see, and we look at things from a different perspective. So a lot of times when we're trying to buy a unit, we'll kind of talk it out together. Sometimes she doesn't like the units I buy, and I do, and sometimes I like the units that I don't like the unit she wants me to buy. But we kind of balance it out and figure our way through it. We've been buying storage units since 2019, for resale as well as for personal use. So that's the first thing what we look at. Why do you want to buy a unit? Are you buying it for personal use? Are you buying it? I've bought units for people before that were just a um, for a specific person. I've had people that have lost everything, and I went out and helped them get a unit, and the unit had everything that they needed. It was a household unit, so it had a bed, it had dresser, it had dishes, it had everything that they needed to get back on their feet and get started. So that's one of the things that we're looking at is, are you buying it for resale? Are you buying it for personal use? Are you buying, and then what kind of stuff do you want? Do you want collectibles? Then there's different things you look for when you're looking at a unit. If you want tools, if you love working with tools, if you want to do clothes, hey, this last unit that I got was nothing but clothes. And I don't really like the clothing units, but every once in a while, I trick myself into getting them. So I thought I would go through and go through show kind of what we look at when we're profiling unit and kind of look at some of the things that we're looking for as we're learning. I've done this kind of video before a few years ago. And hello, I see some people coming in the chat. Say hello in the chat whenever y'all come in, so we know you're here. So we've known that we've done this kind of video before, but I've learned a lot since the last time we did one of these. So one of the things I thought we'd do is we've got about a dozen units that are all closing tomorrow that we're watching right now. So I thought I'd kind of go through some of those units and show you some of the stuff that we're looking at, and kind of point out some of the reasons why we want to buy units. Again, it just depends on what you're looking for, what kind of inventory you're looking for. If you're a reseller and you mainly do eBay, I honestly don't really recommend storage units for eBay. You can list a lot of stuff from storage units, but unless you have help, like I just did a 5x5 unit a couple of weeks ago. Well, if I was to list all that stuff on eBay or Macari or Poshmark, it would probably take me about 3 or 4 months just to list everything I got out of this one unit. And this is a small unit. Not only that, but then we're looking at a year to 2 years, maybe even longer for some of that stuff to sell. So you have to be able to store that stuff for a really long time. So you got to think about, how are you going to sell this stuff? A lot of people sell stuff at the flea markets. A lot of people will take the best stuff and list it on eBay. I sell mainly through Whatnot and right here on YouTube doing live auctions. I do some stuff, the bigger stuff that we find, we sell on Facebook Marketplace, um, and sell it locally, so I don't have to mess with shipping on it. But there's all these factors that we have to think about, and even then, we still find things. Even when we're thinking those things out, there's going to be things hidden in units that we don't see when we look at the units. Like the last unit we bought, or not this last one, but the one before that, one of the last units we bought, at the end of last year, we had bought one. We found two guitars. Well, those two guitars I didn't see when we profiled the unit. Um, we were looking at other factors. We were looking at other things when we profiled that unit. But those two guitars, honestly, one of them I still have sitting over here. It hadn't sold yet. And the other one we sold. We almost made our money back on the unit. We only spent, like, I think we spent what was it, 150 on the unit, and we sold the one guitar for 70. And then we had another item that we sold for like 80 out of the unit. I can't remember what the other item was. But I remember we had 2 items out of that unit that pretty much made my money back. Oh, there was a pellet gun. That's what it was. It was a pellet gun that we sold for $90 to one, and we actually sold it to one of our nurses. It was actually about $120 pellet gun. It was one of those air rifles. And we sold that to one of our nurses for like $90. Um, so they got a great deal. We got our money back on the unit really quickly. We sold 2 items and got our money back, and then everything else after that was just, we could sell what we need to sell, and the rest of it's, we had a lot that we gave away. We donated a lot. There was a bunch of clothes in that unit. Jessica kept a bunch. There was a bunch of them that were in Jessica's size, and she kept a bunch of clothes. We gave some to some of our other nurses. We gave away. That's one of the things when we do these storage units, we probably give away 40 to 50% of the stuff we find in these units. Either donations to charities, giving it to friends and family, other people that we know that need stuff. We give a lot of stuff away. We keep a bunch of stuff, and then we probably sell about 20 to 30% of the stuff out of these units. Really, honestly, when it comes down to it, one storage unit would take me a year to sell if I just sold everything. There's a lot of sellables that we give away. It's not even like, oh, we just give away the trash, or we just donate the trash, the stuff that nobody would want. We give away stuff that is worth some money sometimes, just because it would take us too long to sell it all. So I thought we would kind of do some profiling. So one of the places, oh, this is one of the sites that we use. This is lockerfox.com. And then the other one is storagetreasures.com. These are the 2 sites that I buy almost every unit that I buy now. Almost all of our units now are done through online auctions. Very, very rarely do we find a live auction anymore. We live outside the Austin, Texas area, and almost everything around here has gone to online. There are a few places that still do live auctions, but the last few that I've been to, it was just like crap units. There was nothing really good up for sale. But we do still go to them every once in a while. We're still on the list for a few facilities that do live auctions. And so this is actually my auction stuff that's up for auction right now. Now, one of the first things to look at to discount whether or not you want to buy a unit is you got to know what your budget is. And by the way, we need to know what the all-in budget is. What I mean by all-in is you're going to have to pay for gas. You're going to have to pay for disposal of the trash. You're going to have to dispose of, or you're going to have to, if you don't have a trailer, you may have to rent a truck. So you have to account for all the expenses you're going to have in buying this unit and figure out what your all-in budget is. So like right off the bat, I know, this unit right here, it looks like a great unit. It's a 10 by 20 in Fredericksburg, Texas. It's got a lot of ammunition and gun cases and stuff, which is why it's going so high, but it's at $7,000. Now, that's before paying for gas or anything else. I know just with where the bid is right now, I don't have that kind of money. So that's off my table, right? Now, this was going for $50. But I'm also looking at Bandera, Texas. That's pretty far away from me. And I'm looking at the kind of stuff that's in that unit. It's not badly packed, but this wouldn't be a bad unit for a starter unit. For somebody that's never done a storage unit, there's not a ton of stuff in here. It's a 10 by 20, but it's not tightly packed. It's neatly stacked. There's a bunch of these USPS boxes, which I use those all the time for my shipping anyway. You get those for free from the post office. Sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes resellers put their stuff in a storage unit and then lose it. So that could be a sign that it might be a reseller's unit. But look at how some of this stuff is stacked. Look at the variety of stuff. Old wood is sometimes nice. That's a nice piece of furniture right there. But I'm really not interested in this unit. because it's not really the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. Dog crates. That's sometimes hard to sell stuff. And if they have pets, often there's going to be pets odor on a lot of the stuff in the unit. So that's honestly a downside to most units. And then a lot of units are going to have this right here. They're going to have the tag so that whenever you go to buy the unit, you can make sure that the unit has that tag number matches the one that's on here. That's something I would find really important. I would screenshot that so that you can double check that with the tag when you get to the unit. Most of your listings will have that is the last picture. Some of them don't. So these are just all units that are coming up for sale. You see some of them are small. So, if you want to just start, I recommend starting with something like this. It's a 5 foot by 10, small unit. There's not a whole lot of stuff in it. That might be. And you can usually pick those kind of units up really cheap. See some stuff, see what's in there. You never know. I've seen, a piece of jewelry doesn't take that much space. So I've had some 5x5 units like that had jewelry in them, that had, some small things in them. And sometimes it's all just junk. That's one of the things. There's always risk involved when you're buying storage units. The more you get better at profiling your unit, which is kind of what we're talking about today, is going to help you to really realize. So I'm going to go over here. There's definitely some units here that I definitely wouldn't touch, like this right here. Let's look at this unit right here. Okay, this is like a $30 unit. I think everybody else, most of the other buyers like us, you see how everything's just thrown in there. It's all scattered all over the place. Now, I have bought units like this before. And I can tell you that these kind of units can make you a lot of money if you pick them up really cheap, because I've done it. But you're going to spend a lot of work on this kind of unit because it's all just piled in there. It's all thrown in there. You're going to also have to make sure you can see there's not a whole lot of boxes, not a whole lot of totes, not a whole lot of stuff to pack stuff in. So you're going to have to make sure you bring stuff with you to pack all that stuff up to haul it off. I don't like that kind of unit anymore. I used to buy those kind of units all the time. I don't particularly care for those kind of units anymore. They can be profitable. Remember, okay, what makes a unit profitable is you made more from the unit than you spent on the unit, right? So it may not be worth your while, but it can still be profitable. So maybe I buy the unit for $20, $30, and I make 100 or $200. Well, that was profitable because I made more than I spent. But how much did I then spend on my labor? How many hours of work did I have to put into cleaning up that unit and cleaning it out? That's something you have to think about. What's your labor worth? Because that kind of unit is going to be labor intensive to clean it out and to get rid of all that stuff. And then I see one like this. Now, this is actually one that I looked at earlier this week. But again, a lot of stuff thrown in. Some of it's actually pretty well packed. Some people would call this a pretty decent unit. But it's a 10 foot by 25 unit. And it's got a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of loose stuff. But I don't see any like really good stuff. I don't see a lot of really nice stuff. I see a lot of old stuff, but not nice old. In fact, I do see some Walmart stuff and some cheapo stuff. So that's kind of concerning to me that may not be a very good unit. It might be. You never know. I mean, I've gotten lucky with units like this before, but the chances of there being something really great in there are not. But maybe you like things like quilts. Well, there's a bunch of quilts right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 quilts right there. If you like quilts and you want to check those quilts out, maybe you like to restore quilts, might be a good unit for somebody to buy. Again, a lot of this is individualistic. A lot of this is based on what you're looking for. One of the things I do look at is totes. Okay. I'll go $5 to $10 per tote. So I'll estimate, there's a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $50 just worth of totes and whatever's in those totes.
Hi everyone.
And so far, I've done pretty well for the most part when I guesstimate totes like that. I did have one unit that was full of totes. It had like 40 totes in it. And it wound up being about 35 of those totes were nothing but junk mail. And then there was like 5 totes in the back of the unit that had some decent stuff, and we were actually able to make my money back just off of those 5 totes. But I literally just made my money back, and I didn't make anything to pay for my labor going through all those totes. And when you have totes of junk mail, you have to go through all that stuff, because we did find about $30 or $40 worth of gift cards throughout that unit stuck in the junk mail.
Which happens more.
Yeah, we do find gift cards in the units, and sometimes they're used, sometimes they're not. But that's one of the things that we're going. Here's Jessica. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, how's it going?
Let me move this up so that it's not in your way. Let's see if that's going to stay. All right. There we go. So I'm going to go up here to my auction. One of the things that we get when we get into Storage Treasures is our auction watch list. So these are auctions watched. So these are actually units that we're actually looking at right now.
My husband has a thing for units that are not packed nicely. I know a lot of people say.
Well, I was just talking about that. Honestly, nicely. I'm trying to get away from the not packed nicely, but at the same time, I'm looking at what I see in the unit, not so much how it's packed. Sometimes you can pick up those ones that aren't packed nicely, like Halloween. We got Christmas decorations. We got Halloween decorations. We have electronics right here. Or we have a really nice piece of furniture right there. If they have really nice pieces of furniture, then there's a good chance that they spent their money on decent stuff. That's a nice table right there. It looks like a desk turned upside down.
That to me looks like a coffee table, but coffee table, desk, whatever. You won't know until you go and get in there.
There was some other stuff in this unit too that I was looking at. I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, we got some furniture over here, little tables over here. I'm looking at everything I can see, trying to see, board games. A lot of people are looking for board games and stuff all the time. It's got a foosball table.
Oops.
Yeah, I know. This is why I always have it down and pointed up, because it doesn't stay up very well.
I think we need a new one.
No. So, and again, I'm not bidding on this one particularly. It's just one that I'm watching because it's at 0 bids right now too. And I like a unit like that because there's a lot of potential money in there and there's nobody bidding on it. If it stays that way, that might be one that's worth looking at. Not necessarily going to buy it, but I might buy that one. But that's like low on my priority list of ones to buy. Okay, here's another one. I'm looking at the distance of this one. This is actually one of the ones that we both kind of liked. It's got a mannequin in there, which I could actually keep and use. That's one of the things I'm always looking for, stuff that I can keep and use. It's got a lot of totes. Christmas and crafts, those are both very popular. Craft supplies are popular on Whatnot and on YouTube auctions. Christmas stuff is popular on Whatnot and on YouTube options. Even cheap Christmas stuff, I found I can put lots together of even like dollar store Christmas stuff, and people buy that stuff. Blow molds like this right here is a blow mold right there. That's one of the big things that we like to look for, because those tend to be valuable. A lot of people love those blow molds. Artwork. I can't see the artwork, but there's definitely some artwork in this unit. And then I'm looking at some of the labels on some of these boxes. So that one's Christmas. None of the rest of those are labeled. Oh, I think it was a different unit that I saw. I saw one that says Star Wars toys on it. I think it's a different unit. A vacuum
It's a
cleaner
different
is in
unit.
there. But I counted this one. I think when I counted this one up, there's like 30 totes. Well, if I count $10 a tote at 30 totes, that's about $300 right there. And I'm not even counting for the mannequin and the class supplies and all that. And the bidding's almost at 300. USPS, which I can use for my shipping because I'll load my shipping
here's
stuff
another
up.
thing that y'all got to take into account. Some of y'all are looking at these storage rooms, okay? And honestly, I do not know why y'all are bidding on storage rooms that are crap storage rooms on some of these things. Y'all are bidding way too high on the value.
We're saying y'all, but most of the people that watch my channel aren't buying storage units.
Okay, well,
some people are wanting to know how to start buying.
They don't know.
Hey, boatman.
They don't know what they're looking at. So when they're going in there, they're bidding on stuff.
Yeah, this is what. Well, that's one of the things with doing things online. Unfortunately, is that a lot of people have started bidding up these units. Or sometimes we think maybe facilities are going up and bidding up the units, but there's a lot of people that will bid up these units and they go for astronomical prices, way more than they're worth. So you got to be careful of
not falling into that trap.
Not falling into the trap of buying units like this one right here. Okay, I'm looking at this one. It's in Kerrville, which is kind of a far drive for me, and it's a pretty big unit. But one, I like that dolly. That's a furniture dolly right there. But I'm looking at this right here. This is a cedar gun safe. I know that this one piece right here is worth about $300. I know because I'm a furniture maker. I know what cedar stuff goes for, and I know what gun cabinets go for around here. I guarantee you, I could list that for $250 to $300 in Facebook Marketplace, and it'll be gone within a day. It's got some pretty decent looking furniture throughout the unit. This right here, this looks. I can't tell totally from the angle, but that looks like it's a blower. It's a hand crank blower. I've got a friend of mine that collects antique tools like that, and he has one exactly like that. So I've seen these kind of things before. And so because I have a little bit of experience with those kind of things, I'm looking for other signs. I'm looking for signs like that though, because if they have that kind of stuff, then there may be other tools in there too that I can't see. Dishes, fragile stuff.
What's fragile stuff?
Fragile.
Oh, okay. That's a new one on me.
I'm looking at this right here. I zoomed in on this table really well. You really can't see it on the video really well, but this is solid hardwood table. That is not particle board. It's not plywood. It's not MDF. That is a solid hardwood table. That table alone is probably going to be at least, even if it's in bad shape, it's going to be a $150 to $200 table. So, that means that they've got some pretty nice furniture in this unit. And there's a lot of dirt and dust. I like these old vintage suitcases. That's a sign of some good stuff. Plush. I do really well with plush. So that's why I'm looking at this unit. I could see some clothes in there, but it doesn't look like it's all clothes like the last unit that I got. And then more furniture like this. This is a nice little nightstand or dressing table. So these are just some of the things I'm looking at when I'm profiling a unit like this. There's a microwave, and I know we need a microwave. So, if that works, we might keep that microwave.
Or we might just get rid of it. Whichever one.
These lamps. Looks like there's some luggage back there. That's a wooden box of some kind with some nice cutouts. That kind of stuff sells. Some of the furniture we would sell on Facebook Marketplace because I don't list that stuff.
A forage.
Huh? It's a fan.
No, Boatman's talking to you.
Blower for a forge. That's what it looks like. Until I could get my hands on it, I can't tell for sure, but it looks like an old style forge blower. Like I said, I have a friend of mine who's a blacksmith, who does reenactments of old time reenactments and stuff, and so he has that kind of stuff. And I've seen blowers that look just like that in his shop. So I'm thinking, if that's in there, if they got a blacksmith's forge blower, there may be more blacksmithing tools in there. And if so, I may have a buyer for it already.
Unless you get bidded out.
Well, there's always a chance of getting outbid on the unit. That's one of the things you always want to do. There's Coleman lanterns, that sleeping bags, camping gear, that kind of stuff I can usually pretty sell, or we could keep it because we use a lot of camping gear sometimes, especially if we're doing more camping. Arts,
Yeah.
big teddy bear. So that's just another one of the units that we're looking at right
how
now.
have you been doing today, James? What have you been up to? You would think that I would see James all day long. Let's just say I haven't really seen him all day long. I mean, he's here, but I haven't really seen him. So while he's here, I might as well ask him how his day's been.
It's been fine.
It's been good.
Going through stuff. I've been looking at units. I've been profiling some of these units out. This one is, like I was talking about earlier, this one is just a general household unit. It's not going to probably be anything fancy. There's always a chance that you could have their dishes. You could have some fancy china or something in there. They might have some collectibles, but it just looks like a small household unit. It's a 10 by 10 unit, which is about a standard size for a household. 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 will usually be a standard household size unit. And so you're going to have some furniture in there. You're going to have dishes in there. You're going to have some clothes in there. But you also might find their jewelry in there. You might find whatever normal stuff. I like the way this is packed. If I'm looking at household units, this is kind of some of the stuff I look for. Is it's neatly stacked. They cared enough about their stuff. Like, here's their TV. They cared enough about it to put it, up high and they piled blankets over it to kind of protect it. That's a nice thing. Sometimes they just throw them in there. That shows that they didn't care about their stuff.
Most of the time they throw them in there.
They're Dallas Cowboy fans. That means they didn't have very good taste.
Hey, I like Dallas Cowboys. Leave them alone. No matter whether or not they're good or not. If you're a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, you don't care whether they.
Well, I'm not a football fan.
Like, you want them to win, but okay, for half the time since '94 they've lost. But if you're a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, you're going to stay with them, no matter who your team is.
Yeah. But you know me, I don't like sports anyway. I think sports is a waste of time.
Well, show me some of these other units that you've got.
Well, I am showing other units.
Those.
So, like this one, I love this old style furniture.
You got to understand, he's been on here all day. He's been.
We've got comic book stuff. So. This has got Wonder Woman posters in it. There's a couple of those. There's some more over there. Is it a 70s
Wonder Woman?
No, it looks like.
Or is it?
No, this looks more modern.
Vintage? Is it vintage Wonder Woman? Oh,
it doesn't look vintage from here, but
y'all remember Linda Carter when she was Wonder Woman?
But there's some more Wonder Woman stuff right there in the background.
I think she.
So there may be more Wonder Woman stuff. I like these wire racks because those make good for. I can use those in my shop for sorting out my stuff.
Oh look, U.S. Postal.
Yeah, we find these postal baskets. I can always put my shipping stuff in those and return them to the postal man.
I wonder how people.
This one's kind of low on my priority list, but it's not a bad unit. I've had better.
Of those things, like seriously.
But then here's one. This is one of the ones I really like. Even though this would not be a very good auction unit for a whatnot auction. Oh no, not that one. Where's the other one? Where is it? Oh my gosh, I think it got pulled. Because it was on my saved list and it's not here now. Let's go down and see. Yep. It's not showing up on the other auctions at this facility either. Well, shoot, one of my favorite units is gone. Yep, it's gone. The one with all the artwork.
Mhm.
We found a unit that we were really liking. It had a whole bunch of paintings and artwork, and I mean, it looked like it would probably. I thought it could have been worth thousands of dollars, and it was only going for like 200. It was one that was like high on my radar of units I wanted to buy tomorrow, but it's gone, which means they probably, that's the other thing when we're watching these units for more than a day.
They could disappear on you.
They can disappear on you because they can come in and pay their bill up until you claim that unit. Not even ending the auction. The auction can end, but until you get to that facility and pay for that unit, they can come in and pay their bill and get their unit back. So this is also the other site, lockerfox.com. This is some of the auctions that I've been looking at over there. Let's see. Watch list. Okay. Now this one I kind of looked at. I'm not too thrilled with this one, but I kind of looked at it because it's got a bunch of camping gear and stuff in it. I like this old chair. That looks like an old carved wooden chair. And those can be worth some money. This looks like a vintage bicycle. That's a very old style bicycle. That's older than us style. I like that.
Producing those nowadays, so
yeah, it might be a repop. It may not be. I don't know until I can get my hands on it.
It may actually be.
Oh, but that looks like a snowboard right there. There is a bed. There's artwork. TV, more artwork, shovels, crutches. But there's a lot of stuff in there. This is kind of one of my. If none of the other units are working out, this might be one of my backups.
And that's the other thing is that
I also look at a bunch of units that I don't necessarily intend to buy, but I'm looking at them to see.
So sometimes you might go in and there might be a whole bunch of units up for sale, but they're not really catching your interest. Don't just go out and buy the unit just to buy the unit, people. I mean, wait. I mean, wait to see if you get a better unit. It's what I say. I mean, because either way, you're going to take a loss whether you buy a crappy unit or whether you buy a better unit. You just have to weigh down your options at the time. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy one that day.
Yeah, but it's also like, one of the things you have to look at is what's your budget. That's one of the first things I said.
Right.
How much do you have? If you've only got $100, you're not going to get a great unit. You're going to get a decent unit. You can probably get a decent unit for under $100, but you're not going to get a great unit. But know what your budget is, know what your limits are, so you don't overbid yourself. But this is a little Christmas unit that I actually looked at mainly for Jessica because she loves Christmas stuff. There's a lot of Christmas stuff here. There's Christmas pillows, it looks like. Some blow molds. There's like 4 or 5 blow molds. That's a whole stack of looks like children's books and stuff.
Yeah, I tend to like children's books. I think I have a whole collection of them.
She has a collection of them. We're homeschooling Jesse and Emily as of this year. There's these. That's a.
Is that?
It's a nutcracker.
Oh, it's a nutcracker.
It's a nutcracker.
It looks like
it's a nutcracker blow mold.
Fraggle Rock.
It's a nutcracker blow mold.
Oh.
And that's the Virgin Mary blow mold. And then there's another blow mold right here, but it's laying down, so I can't really see it. No, I think it's just the reflections because you also have the building and stuff, but that looks like a nutcracker. No, it's a nutcracker.
I think he looks kind of spooky the way he's facing. With that,
it's a nutcracker. There's another Christmas tree in there, which it's getting to be a good time of year to start putting out Christmas stuff. So we've had some good luck with buying Christmas unit stuff. Christmas units that we bought in the past have done really well for us. well, we keep a bunch of it, but we also sell a bunch of it. So some people don't. I kicked myself out of the studio. I'm back.
We are having technical difficulties at the time. Could you please stand by?
Gotta get myself back up here. So there we are, back to our Christmas unit. So that one looks like it's a possibility if it stays cheap. Where is that one? That one's in Austin, so it's not too far away either. It's on Highway 71, so that's not too far away. I know there was another one that was. Oh, this is one of the things that we look for. Look at all the dust on this unit. Look at all that dust.
Yeah,
It's one of the things we look at is dust. That is a woodworker's workbench, which I could use in the backyard. These shelves I could use. Those old vintage suitcases. So if there's vintage suitcases, there's a good chance there's other vintage stuff. It's got a croquet set. It's got a weight set. Look at all this. Even on this furniture, that's a piece of pine furniture. That's not a high-end piece of furniture, but it's still a decent piece.
Oh, that the bottom looks like some kind of game.
This right here is some kind of wooden blocks that's sitting on the table. You can see it. Let's go back to the top. It's right there. There's not a really good picture of it.
Does anybody else remember croquet? Did y'all ever play croquet?
There's 0 viewers, so
why don't you let us know at the bottom if y'all ever played?
Let us know in the comments if you've ever played croquet before.
You've ever even seen the croquet kids, because some of y'all may not have ever seen them.
So there's Christmas tree stands. There's
played croquet.
Yes. Now shush, you're distracting, not helping. There's a bunch of weights. A lot of boxes. There was some other stuff. Oh, there's you some bottled water. I know you like your bottled water out of a storage unit. Maybe some storage unit food. We always hope. Big tape deck, old style electronics.
No, I don't. I don't hope there's storage for food.
You don't want to use storage unit food. Come on.
Look, there's a globe. It says globe on it.
Yeah, this says a globe. We just sold a globe in one of our auctions last week, or week before last.
Those things.
But there's a lot of pieces here. So I like the dust. I like the dirt. I don't necessarily like the way it's stacked, but I like the dust because the dust has clues that there could be some vintage stuff in there. That's something everybody's always asking for is, what do we have that's vintage? Well, if I can find a good dusty unit like that, there's a good chance we're going to find some vintage stuff in there. Because it looks like nobody's been in that unit in years. So that's one of the things. And then this one, another vintage suitcases, lots of dust.
Kind of messy.
Dusty. Well, almost every unit's going to have some mess. But if you really look back at it, the majority of this unit is stacked fairly nicely. It's just a little bit in the front that's not. But this stuff all back here, the back half of the unit is all really nicely stacked. But you got old Samsonite suitcases. You got these old white suitcases. You can see all the layers of dust on the carpets. There's a nice area rug right there. Those rugs can be worth a lot of money sometimes.
Yeah.
Christmas tree. There's a leaf to a table.
And believe it or
we
not,
don't know if the whole
Christmas trees
table's in there, but there's a
sell.
leaf to a hardwood table right there. Christmas tables. These look like old army cots, and those can be worth a few bucks. I know a lot of people that like those old army cots. I like those old army cots sometimes. sleeping bags.
Should I put him in an army cot? In the
This right
backyard?
here, there's some like skewers or something for like a barbecue grill. So there's probably some more camping stuff, books and stuff in there. So that's a pretty decent unit. I wouldn't call that a grade A unit, but that looks like a pretty decent unit. It's at only $70 right now. You know, if I could pick up a unit like that for less than 200, I would do it. Colleen is a little far away. That's the downside, but it's only a 5x10 too, so it's not very big. I could fit most of that in one load in the truck. I maybe have to make 2 trips without my trailer. But these are just some of the units that are up right now for bid that we're looking at. Nothing spectacular, but there's a lot of good potential in some of these.
I'd rather not bid on any of them, but that's just me.
So, you know, that's what we wanted to do today. We wanted to kind of go over some of the kinds of units that we're looking at, profile out some of the units that we're looking for, and try to find, you know, some stuff that we can bring up for ourselves. Let's go back to the.
I mean, who knows? We may buy something, we may not.
You know,
We may
when
buy
you first
stuff.
come in here too, you know, like one of the things I do is I have this set. We put in my zip code, and I have it set for 100, so I can even extend that out and go to 150 miles. That's a little bit far for me, really, to get all the way out to 3-hour drive.
Oh, look, California is showing up.
There it goes. That'll take us all the way to Houston.
Houston. I didn't get Houston.
See, this one's in Houston. Oh, it's got tools and stuff in it. Got a freezer. It's another household unit, basically.
Piano.
But the instruments, there's camping stuff in there.
It looks
I
like
mean,
it has a guitar.
looks
Two
like it's
guitars
possible
that I can
guitars.
see.
Yeah, there looks like those instruments, tools. Trying to figure out
The
why
thing
this
with
is
the
going up.
instruments is because, well, it's probably the instruments and the tools. But with that being said, sometimes those instruments are low grade instruments. Just because there's a guitar case doesn't mean that it's a name brand instrument. And you've got to understand, you could have a $200 or $300 guitar.
It could be empty.
It could be empty, or you could have a $20 guitar in your hand.
There's always a chance. There's a little bit of risk. There's a point where I call it taking a risk. And this is something I've tried to explain to people for years. Okay. Anytime you buy a unit, there's a risk that you may not get your money back. But there's a difference between taking a risk and gambling. The more you learn, the more there's risk, but not gambling. The less you know about what you're looking at, the more you're gambling. It's the same thing with playing the stock market. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gambling. But if you know what you're doing, there's risk. You can always lose money, but there's less risk than
And sometimes your gamble pays off and sometimes it doesn't.
But gambling, that's the way all gambling is. Gambling is completely out of your control. It might pay off. I could go out and spend everything dime we have on lottery tickets instead of on a storage unit. And we have just as much of a chance of breaking even or making some money as we do on buying some of these storage units.
I mean, he's got a good point.
Because it's completely out of my control. The more you learn how to profile a unit, the less gamble it is, and the more there's still risk, but there's less of a gamble. Now, it depends. If you want to just throw money away, I got a bank account that you can throw it into, or you can just go buy whatever units you want to, and it may or may not pay off for you. You know, and I've seen people gamble huge amounts of money on storage units, and it paid off.
I will say that.
And I've seen people gamble huge amounts of money on storage units, and they barely made any money at all, or they didn't even break even because they spent way too much on the unit. I always think that there's no such thing really as a bad unit. There's units that people overpay for. And that happens a lot with these online auctions. A lot of people don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what they're looking for. They overpay for units, and then they call the whole thing a scam because they overpaid for the unit. That comes with experience, and we've all done it. I've overpaid for units. Everybody I know in the business has overpaid for units. Luckily, I've only ever had one that I overpaid for that I didn't at least get my money back. Or no, I had one. I just got my money back. Everything else I've made a profit on. I just didn't necessarily make enough profit to cover my labor.
Right.
But profit is anything above what you put into it, you got back. That's a profitable unit. So I can make $1 more than what I paid for the unit, and it's profitable, but $1 doesn't cover 20 hours worth of labor. I wish that I could find just one really, really, even if it's like not in our range of something we could go do, just find one just like really, that would be a really hot unit to go after if we were able to do it. But I'm really not seeing any. That was at $480. And it's all totes. You can't really see anything. I mean, they're nicely stacked totes. There's a lot of them. It's a 10 foot by 12 foot.
And I think a lot of that has to do with people are always saying, well, if they're nicely stacked, they took care of their stuff. But look, that's Walmart brand stuff. That's a Walmart brand stuff. So their stuff is
Walmart stuff is not going to sell for high.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell quality over
Walmart.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's nothing wrong with Walmart. It's just
nothing wrong with Walmart stuff, but as a reseller,
$480.
Maybe they're buying this for themselves, though, and for that, if they're not trying to make a profit, there are people that buy these units for personal use, and they don't try to sell any of the stuff. They're just buying it because they want it. Maybe somebody's doing that with this. I don't know, but as a reseller, I would not be bidding on this unit. Not at that price. If that was about half the price, I would. But then again,
I don't know. Look at those. Maybe it's those flower tubs right there that are made out of wood. Those those
are cheap.
Like 20.
Those are cheap. No, like $5.
How would those be $5?
You buy those for like $5 a piece at the dollar store.
I haven't seen those at the dollar store for $5.
I have.
Those are the big round ones, not the small little round ones. Even at Family Dollar, they're like $5 to $10.
But I don't know. I don't see why they're paying $480. I mean, and this has still got another 12, 13 hours to go. It looks like a lot of Christmas stuff, mostly. It might be a really profitable unit at $400 or $500. I don't know, but it's a gamble. That's what I would call gambling. Anything I wouldn't.
This is where me and James are a little little more reserved on that. I would take the gamble. He wouldn't.
I don't take what I have always said. What I've always said, I don't have a problem with people gambling on units. You never gamble more than you can afford to lose. And if you can't afford to lose, you don't gamble.
Right.
Period.
But we all know that we all like to gamble anyways.
No, I don't like to gamble.
He's a little more reserved. I would probably go for it. That's where me and his personalities are a little different. I would probably go for something like that. Not saying that on this one I particularly would, but if it's like something that I know what I saw, I would probably take the gamble. I mean, hands down. There's a lot of us that would. No, and that's no fault. But he's right. You do want to kind of look at what you're looking at so that you're not one.
Well, like I said, the more you know, the less of a gamble it is. Yeah. It might still be risky, but it's less gambling the more you know about what you're looking at. Now, looking at these, there's totes of clothes. Do you really think that all those clothes, unless they're vintage, if they're just graphic tees and they're not vintage, do you think all those totes of clothes are worth $300?
No.
Unless they're vintage, which I don't see any sign that says vintage to me. Yes, they might be nice graphic tees, but I don't think that that's going to be. I mean, it might.
Probably some of those LED
Fortune
signs.
100 company, U World Global. Have no idea who that
So
is.
there's supposedly an LED sign somewhere in there. That could be part of the reason why it's kind of hot, depending on how big that LED sign is. But other than that, no, not really.
I don't know. There's an LED sign right there.
What does it say?
I can't read it. I don't know.
Something Labs.
Something Labs.
I can see Labs.
Global Labs.
Something
'Cause
Labs.
I think that's what
that's
that-
all I know.
I don't know, but I wouldn't. $300 for that unit, though. That's what I'm getting at. I think that is overpriced. I don't think it's a bad unit. I think it's an overpriced unit. This is what they're
that
talking
could be probably.
about. This
why
is the
they're getting
LED
it up
light that
to-
they're talking about.
Yeah,
This-
that could be the reason why it's like 300 and something. And depending, but we can't see what's on the other side of that LED light, what the picture is on the LED light.
Yeah.
Which to me,
these totes of clothes. I mean, one of those totes of clothes might be worth $300. But then again, all of those totes together may not sell for $300. It also depends on how you're selling it too. If they're listing each one of those individually for $20 a piece on eBay, then I can see, it might be worth $300. For me, selling this stuff at auction the way I sell it, I would be stretching it to make my money back. Because I'd be lucky to get $3 to $5 a shirt.
But you're right, they do look like they're all whatchamacallit, got cartoon whatever saying.
They look like they have some kind of graphics on them.
Yeah, they all look
so
like
they look like that's
graphics.
good. But I'm saying, unless they're vintage with those kind of graphics on them, they're really not going to be worth that much money.
No, some of them like the graphics.
And I'm always partial to, one of my big things has always been, I'm kind of partial to find the unit that has one item that will pay for the unit. If I can find one or two items that pays for my unit and then all the rest is profit, that is a good unit for me. The majority of units that I get, that's the way it is. I find one or two items. Like even this last unit, even though it's not going to be a big money unit for me because it was a bunch of clothes, that leather chest, when I sell that leather chest is pretty much going to pay for the unit. Stools, boxes.
Yeah, bar stools, the plants.
I mean, it's a household unit. It's got a bed in it. It's got some furniture.
Fake plants, because some of those
the fake plants.
It can go like $400.
But I wouldn't pay $300 unit. I don't know.
I will say that it doesn't look like it's high-end stuff.
No, it looks like cheap furniture.
Yeah, I don't know why it.
I mean, it would be a good household unit. Say somebody lost everything and they want to get a fully furnished apartment for cheap. That's actually a good way to do it. Again, know what you're buying for. Because somebody else's reason for buying may not be my reason for buying. They may not be buying it to resell. They might be trying to furnish their apartment. They might be looking for, something to replace their house. And that's a good unit for that kind of stuff.
Right.
You'd spend thousands of dollars trying to refurbish your house, and you could probably do it in that one unit.
Excuse me.
Nothing spectacular here, though. We're going as far as Houston. And I'm just not seeing anything spectacular that says, oh, this would be just like the quintessential unit.
There were a couple last week that.
Yeah, there were some last week There were just really amazing units, and unfortunately, I didn't get any of them. A couple of them got pulled before the auction ended. One of them, I missed the deadline on when the auction closed. That was one of the first ones we looked at.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. That was one of my don't buy this kind of units. Unless, well, I did say if you're into quilts, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a couple more. There's
Yeah,
like
but they're not
7
even
quilts.
Homemade.
But-
They're
But some
cheap.
people like to get those quilts and restore them and
Right.
use them. If somebody was wanting something for that, that might be a decent unit for them.
right.
You know, for me, it would not be a good unit. And that's what I'm saying. For me, this would not be a great unit. I could make a profit off of this unit at $60. If I pick this up for anything less than 200, it would be a profitable unit for me. But I've done a lot of those kind of units. And I'm trying to get better units than that. But I've done a lot of these kind of units, and these can be really profitable if you can pick it up for 200 or less. And I've done that before. I've bought units like this for 60, 70, 80 bucks and made some money on it. It's also a 10 by 25. That's a pretty huge unit. It goes
It is,
pretty
but it's
deep
not
back
fully
there.
packed, and you can tell it's not fully packed.
Yeah,
So,
but it still goes pretty far back from even what you can see where the line is. That's over halfway. Because this
yeah,
this
so it
line
kinda looks
right
like they took
here
the
is
front
about-
half, and then they left the back half. That's kind of what it looks like. Like they grabbed as much as they could, wasn't able to get the rest of out, and the rest got just left.
they might have, or I don't know.
I could see that.
But-
happening.
But still, there's a ton of stuff in there. You can buy this. If you
Yeah,
honestly,
absolutely. Now that
from
I
what
look
I'm
at
seeing in
it,
that
it's
unit,
long.
if you spend less than $300 on this unit, that would be a really good unit for somebody that wants to do the work. But it's going to be a bit of a grind to clean out that unit. You're going to have probably, I would say, probably 2 or 3 days worth of work. So you're good at, long days. So you're looking at 15, 20 hours worth of labor just to clean out the unit. Then you're going to have to sort everything. You're going to have a way to sell it. You're going to have to have a place to store it. Or you just rent the unit out for a month. And slowly clean it out over the course of a month. But you still have to have a place to store it while you're selling it, listing it. There's going to be some stuff you're going to get rid of out of a unit like that. You're probably going to get rid of at least a third of the stuff in that unit. Is probably going to go straight to the trash. Probably a third or more you're going to donate, give away. And then you're going to have about a third of it that you're actually going to keep and try to sell on a unit like that. The good thing about a unit like that is it's a household unit. It's got some vintage looking quilts and stuff. So there's a good chance that there may be some other vintage stuff, but it's also,
A lot of vintage has been remanufactured too.
Well,
to make it look like it's finished.
yes,
It's
I
not.
know.
So you
But
got-
what I was getting at is if it's a good household unit, there's a good chance you're going to find a stash of jewelry, even costume jewelry, guys. I just did an auction. Everything I sold was costume jewelry. Everything.
we probably still got more.
Well, I have a little bit more that came out of this last unit that we haven't checked yet. Yeah.
Got more.
But this last unit, what I do is I stack all my costume jewelry together, and then we'll just do a blowout, or I'll lot it all up and sell it off in one big lot. Because I don't really like messing with jewelry. I don't know jewelry very well, so
Well, I
I'll
guess
sort
not.
through it. I'll separate the gold and the silver from the costume, and then other than that, we're just gonna push it out. Which, by the way, you got those rings checked out for me. What did you do with them?
They're in my purse.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna probably want those back because I'm gonna put them up for sale eventually. Maybe Tuesday. We are doing another auction tomorrow on Whatnot every Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. over on Whatnot. So y'all can check us out. We're gonna have the link in the description of the video. Whatnot's kind of one of our favorite platforms right now for selling. I'm trying to build my audience over there. So if anybody's interested, I know some people don't like Whatnot. I personally kind of like Whatnot better than YouTube on some things. I think they both have pros and cons. In fact, last week, I think, or week before last, I did a video on the pros and cons between Whatnot and YouTube. So you can check that video out if you want to know the pros and the cons between the two based on my experience there. Because I've done sales on both for the last while. Got looks like
That looks like Winnie the Pooh.
it looks like Winnie the Pooh, but it's a hat box.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sometimes the hat boxes and the hats can go for a good price.
yeah, it looks like a magazine rack or something.
One of those old time stools they used to make.
Shelf, yeah. I don't know, but look, it's got carved hearts in it. It's upside down.
Yeah, I know that.
It looks like a stool or a small table or something.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too.
I mean, these aren't the bad units. They're fairly cheap.
Look, a sheep for a ghost. Halloween's coming up.
Look at that
Just cut out some
lampshade. That looks kind of old style. I don't know. One of the things I'm looking for is signs of vintage stuff.
I don't really see vintage in there.
Just some old games and that's one of the things that I struggle with sometimes though. But you know, like jewelry, baseball card collections, Pokemon card collections, you get these household units and you're gonna find anything they collected. So the kids' baseball cards, we find them in there. And sometimes those sell for a lot of money, you know, whatever knickknacks and stuff. You know, I've seen a lot of auctions that make a lot of money just selling all the knickknacks and little table stuff and not even necessarily fancy ones. If you can find anything unique. But I'm not finding any like spectacular. There you go. You need a forklift?
No, I'm good. Someone else might, but not me.
It's only 1,500.
No.
12 foot by 60 foot. It's got a bunch of
I
tools.
don't think we need a forklift.
You don't want a forklift?
No.
I think I can ship that. I can sell that on Whatnot and ship it. Maximum $8 shipping. I paid the rest. Fuck that. Hell no.
Then why are you even suggesting it? I know you're messing around.
I'm messing around. There's a lot of people that get around it on Whatnot that are like, "Oh, you should never make a buyer pay more than $8 shipping." Yeah. If I'm going to ship something like that, they pay more than $8 for shipping. That's the one with the beer can collection. It's up to 160. It was at 80 earlier today. $700.
Well, you know he's going in there to see what makes it.
I gotta look.
$700.
Yeah, when I see something that's outrageously priced, I'm like, what? Oh, it's tools.
Tools sell very well.
Yeah,
You got the
DeWalt's, Craftsman.
What is that underneath that orange tote?
Huh?
The one on the left hand side.
That?
Yeah.
It's a table saw.
Oh.
Looks like a Delta table saw.
Okay, y'all got to excuse me. I've got to sneeze, I think. Oh, look, isn't that a mixer for cement mixer?
Might be. No,
That's what it looks like, a cement mixer to me.
It might be. Or might be a rock tumbler or whatever.
I see it more being a cement mixer just because.
But that's what it is. It's the tools. That's what makes that one so outrageously priced. It'd be a good unit for if you got a way to sell the tools at, premium rates. But some of those, yeah, that's a Delta table saw. It's an old style Delta. It's got their back hoses, so they may have a shop back system in there.
So it may be a woodworker's.
Yeah, I mean, some kind of woodworking stuff and definitely some woodworking tools and stuff. Carpentry tools, woodworking tools, furniture dolly, big
Yeah.
heavy duty one. That's like the appliance dollies for carrying
That's what I
refrigerators
was
and stuff.
noticing that.
That right there is worth about 4 or 5. If it's a good brand. I don't know. I can't tell from here. But that one's definitely going to sell for a lot of money. It's still got 12 hours on it. That's probably going to go up to $1,000 by tomorrow. I think I saw this one before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Post hole diggers, shovels.
Furniture.
Pine furniture.
Oh, look, water. 1, 2, 3.
Need some
4,
bottled
5,
water
6.
that's been in the storage unit. There you go.
6 bottled waters. 6 cases right there.
Bed frame, Lowe's boxes.
I guess it wouldn't be too bad, the water, if it was climate controlled.
It's not. It's an outdoor unit.
Yeah, so no.
Because a climate controlled won't have that much dust in it. They can have it at that price. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're just scrolling through. There's a $700 one.
And you gotta excuse James, because what he'll start doing is he'll go in there and he's gonna forget that y'all are there and just start looking and talking to
Well,
himself.
I'm just trying to, see what there is.
Right. He's trying to see
focus on what I'm seeing. I was hoping I might scroll through here once I leveled out the distance that I might find like a really great unit that was like going for nothing.
They're not really going. I mean, the units this week aren't very per se stand out. Their units. That's why I was saying and that might happen. You may want to source
some weeks you
else.
don't find great units. Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
And there's differences of opinion. Sometimes I'm looking at some of these thinking some of these are probably a really good unit. They have a lot of potential and Jessica doesn't like them. And then there's other units that Jessica will fall in love with and she'll get mad at me because I won't bid on them.
Well, and sometimes I see. So Jessica has a very expensive taste. Like I can look at a unit and I can
that's
tell
an old Boy Scout backpack and it's got Boy Scout patches on
it. The thing is I think me and James offset each other when it comes to that kind of stuff, because he's looking at all the man stuff, looking at this and this. This is what can sell. I may see something that's girly that he's thinking, oh, it's girly stuff. She just likes that. But that's not all that I'm looking at. It may be name brand and he doesn't even realize that I'm looking at name brand stuff. Sometimes even I don't realize I'm looking at name brand stuff. I could go into any store and pick out the most expensive thing in the store without even realizing it. There was a unit that one time that he bid it on. It was a Christmas unit, and I can tell you, my husband was like, "Oh, this says this. It's not very good." I said, "Are you joking?" I said, "This is a name brand. These are name brand ornaments." Well, I've never heard of it. I said, "I have." And if you're a girl, you've heard of it. If you're a guy, you haven't, because one, guys don't keep up with that kind of stuff. Unless it has to pertain to guy stuff like DeWalt or Rigid or tool stuff.
And this is one of the other things we have to look out for, and I just caught it. Non-lean unit managers special. You pick these up for cheap enough, they can find some decent stuff in them sometimes, but usually they're not going to be spectacular. There's not going to be anything. But like this right here, that old vintage backpack, that's an old Boy Scout backpack.
You might actually
with the
find some.
patches.
You might actually see some vintage stuff. Some of those Boy Scout patches that are vintage are really expensive.
Yeah, but they're usually one of them in better shape than one that's been worn on a pack.
Right.
The old
But you don't know
football.
what's
Look at
inside that
old
backpack
football.
either. I mean,
we
who
don't.
knows what's
That's the
inside
point.
that backpack? It could be all Boy Scout stuff. It could even have an old Boy Scout handbook for all you know.
got more Christmas stuff back here. If it's got the nativity and Christmas manger, if it's actually what's in there. There's that Easter bunny thing on top.
It comes.
Well, that's a manager special for $10. Nobody's bidding on it, probably because it's a manager special.
Where was that at?
San Antonio.
Yeah, which means basically they took everything that didn't sell and just put it all in there.
Yeah, it could be all units that didn't sell.
Had very little stuff in there, so they all put it together, decided they were going to sell it, that kind of stuff. Nobody bidded on it, so it all got stuck in there.
Yeah, basically what they do for these manager specials is they'll go through units after they go no sale, pull stuff out, and throw it all together in one unit. And they'll go through it. Because once it's gone up for auction, they can do whatever they want with the stuff. But I know people, I've actually had people come through Whatnot asking if I had any Boy Scout stuff. And at the time I didn't.
We had a whole bunch of Boy Scout stuff at one time. And
Yeah,
guess what he did? He donated to the Boy Scouts.
Some of it I donated, but some of it we sold when I first started selling on eBay.
Oh, yeah,
some of the first stuff that I sold was a bunch of Boy Scout stuff.
And we did keep a couple of Boy Scout things that he still has. The Order of the Arrow stuff.
Some.
I think he kept like 5. Oh, look, a mixer.
Yeah, it's a mini KitchenAid.
Yeah, it doesn't even look very big.
No, it's a small version.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a KitchenAid, even the small ones sell for quite a bit of money.
I don't think I've ever seen a small version of the KitchenAid. Okay, you got to scroll into that $510 one.
Well, I can see what it is. There's tools and stuff in there.
Oh, yeah, I guess tools sell very well.
Yeah, tool units.
That doesn't surprise me.
Tend to go. Look, all these big ladders.
Mm-hmm.
You got another appliance dolly. You've got power tools just out in the open. You got more ladders over there, plus whatever's hidden. Scaffolding units.
Oh, scaffolds can be pretty expensive.
Yep. That's why this one's going up so high. There's probably $1,000 easy worth of tools in there. But then you also have to have a way to move it and sell it and store it until it sells, because some of that stuff can take a little while to sell, especially those big pieces. Totes, look, it says luggage, wall art. Oh, this is one of the things I was talking about earlier.
Manager special. There's another manager special.
Well, there's another manager special, but I was looking at the way it's packed. Everything's just thrown in there like that. Run! Because half of that stuff's probably broken or no good.
Yeah. And
I mean, if you just want to keep stuff out of a landfill, that's about the only reason to bid on this kind of unit, is to keep stuff out of a landfill. If you don't care about making any money off of it, but even then, a bunch of it's probably gonna still wind up in a landfill because It's
They'll
just a
be
bunch of
throwing them away.
trash.
Yep.
Just a bunch of trash.
But I thought you loved those units, James.
I don't know, manager special. One. And two, not like that.
Look at the $20 one.
Gun case. Oh, it's a manager special, which maybe what's shying everybody away from it, but it's a gun case. Probably an empty gun case just because it's a manager special.
Oh, it's a BB gun.
That might be it too. But hey, that BB gun we got last time was an expensive BB gun.
Yeah.
Just because it's a
we
BB
ended up
gun
with a
doesn't
BB
mean
gun.
it's worthless.
Yeah. Oh, look at that vintage sign.
Look
right
at those
there.
signs. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of those are repopped. Microwave. Bunch of tools.
Look at all that stuff
Wood.
just thrown in there.
Mm-hmm. Ben White Mentopoulos.
All right, I guess we got a little munchkin that came in. I will see y'all guys later. Y'all take care. He's
I'm fixing
himself.
I'm fixing to end the stream.
Bye, guys.
But we were just kind of going through some of the units, how we profile some of these units. We're still going to look at some of these. A lot of these units that we're looking at close out tomorrow or the day after. So we're going to keep looking. I'm trying to find some inventory to bring to auction tomorrow too. That's part of why I'm looking at some of these units that close tomorrow. Because I got to get some fresh inventory. We just finished that 5x5 unit that we got a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't able to pick up a unit last week. So I'm kind of hurting for some inventory right now that I haven't already brought to auction already. So, you know, that's what Jessica doesn't seem to understand. I'm looking for inventory that I can sell. And so I might pick up one of these cheaper units just to grab some stuff real quick that I can throw up for auction tomorrow and bring some stuff. And we'll see what we come up with. We might come up with some good treasures and we might just find a flop. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a fantastic week. Again, join us tomorrow at Whatnot at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. If y'all do Whatnot, and if not, let us know in the comments if anybody makes it this far, what you would like, when you would like us to do a YouTube auction. We tried to do one last weekend and nobody showed up, so we wound up just hanging out and chatting for about an hour and a half. But we'd like to do some more YouTube auctions, but we'd like to know when's a good time for everybody to do YouTube auctions. So leave us a comment, give us a like, share, follow. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe. That lets YouTube know. And we're trying to get our following up. You know, we were up to almost 1,000 subscribers. We lost some because of being absent for so long. But we're trying to get our subscriber count back up so that we can get YouTube to unlock some of the features for us. So hope y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see y'all next time.